Okay, continuing on with our related rates, I want to do one more, and this one's actually pretty troublesome. I'm going to take the derivative with respect to t of both sides. So I'll take the derivative of this left side and take the derivative of this right side. And of course the derivative of 32 is just 0. Now when we come to the left side, that's a little troublesome. We'll use pink. I'm going to call this function here, the 3x squared y, I'm going to write that in pink. That's actually a product rule problem. So you have a 3x squared times y. Now, when you take the derivative, you have to use the product rule with that one. Break it into two pieces. The derivative of the first function would be 6x dx dt, and the derivative of the second function would be 1 dy dt. So when we get ready to put that in, my derivative would be function 1 d2 plus function 2 d1. Now that's two terms, but that only covers that 3x squared y. So now you still have to take the derivative of the x, 2x rather. So taking the derivative of this guy, you would get plus 2 dx dt, and that's going to equal 0. So going back to the pink region, you had 1 d2 plus 2 d1. Now let's clean that up. So for this one, we would have 3x squared dy dt plus 6xy dx dt plus 2 dx dt equals 0. Now, so that was a little tricky with the pink step, but there's also going to be trickiness over here in the given part. Okay, so I'm given that dy dt is negative 4. And it tells me to find dx dt. Okay, so I don't know dx dt. It also tells me that x is 2. But if you look in that blue derivative step, you'll also see that there is a y. So you also need y. That's where the trouble comes in. You'll notice that y is a regular variable. It is not a derivative. So anytime I ask you to find a regular variable, you need to use the original. So this original function at the top says 3x squared y plus 2x equals negative 32. I don't want to touch the derivative. I just need to know what plane y is. I know that plane x is 2. That was given to me. So if I throw in 2 for x, I get 3 times 2 squared y plus 2 times 2 equals a negative 32. So that's 3 times 4. Okay, we can just solve that out. So 12y, I can move that 4 over. I ran out of room, so let's move it up here. 12y would equal a negative 36. So y would equal a negative 3. So sometimes, if you need an original letter, not the derivative, you have to go back and use the original function. So that's how that one starts. And then from there, it's not too bad. That was the troublemaker. So here we go. Let's go back to our blue step. Now we're ready to plug in. So we have 3 times x. Okay, and x was 2. So that's 3 times x squared. Dy dt was negative 4 plus 6 times x times y. Dx dt I do not know. dx dt, I do not know. Whew. Let's clean that up. This is 3 times 4 times negative 4. This would be 12 times negative 3, negative 36. Negative 48 here for this term. When I put the two middle ones together, I get, because they're like terms, negative 34 dx dt. To solve this equation out, I need to move the 48 over. It becomes positive. I'll divide both sides by a negative 34 to get the dx dt by itself. And dx dt would equal 48 over negative 34. If you reduce that, you get 24 over negative 17. And that's how it would work.